Stand by, number 38, mine. Fire.
Too late to turn back now.
They'll kill you.
Then they'll kill me. Sooner or later they would have done.
We've got about 7 minutes to reach the surface. It shatter the steel walls of its mammoth prison beneath the sea.
Others will land and suck the earth dry.
First up is Kronos from 1957. Picture this. A massive cubic robot from outer space arrives on Earth and starts draining our planet's energy resources. The special effects team created this incredible walking fortress using techniques that were revolutionary for their time. The way they filmed it moving across the desert landscapes is absolutely haunting. What makes this movie special is how it handles the theme of energy consumption, something we're still talking about today. The stark black and white cinematography adds this eerie atmosphere that you just can't replicate with color. The scenes where Kronos absorbs nuclear explosions are mind-blowing, especially considering the limited special effects technology available back then.
Are they ours?
I think so.
Then they're going to bomb. You mean you'd kill all the others?
Let's talk about Target Earth from 1954. Imagine walking through a completely deserted Chicago. No people, no cars, just empty streets, and an overwhelming sense of isolation. This movie did something incredible. It created a post-apocalyptic atmosphere years before it became popular. The filmmakers shot most scenes early Sunday mornings when the streets were naturally empty, proving that creative problem-solving beats a big budget every time. The story follows a small group of survivors trying to understand why mysterious robots have invaded their city. What makes this film special is how it builds tension through atmosphere rather than action. The scenes of abandoned buildings and silent streets create this incredible sense of dread that modern movies still try to replicate today.
I'm now going to set the Deltatron at its maximum output and close the floodgates. I want you all to leave.
The Magnetic Monster from 1953 is our final hidden gem, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. This movie takes a unique approach to science fiction by focusing on a threat you can't see, but can definitely feel. The story follows scientists racing against time to stop a mysterious radioactive element that doubles its mass every 12 hours by absorbing energy from everything around it. What makes this film stand out is how it builds tension through scientific concepts rather than alien invasions or giant monsters. The scenes of laboratory equipment going haywire and power plants overloading create this incredible sense of impending doom. Even the technical dialogue feels natural and adds to the suspense rather than slowing things down. It's like a thriller where science itself is the monster. Quick question for all you sci-fi fans. If you could remake any of these movies with modern technology, which one would you choose and why? Would you keep some of the practical effects or go full CGI? Let me know in the comments.
And feels and suffers. Do you think for 1 minute he can
Running wild in a terrifying
The Colossus of New York from 1958 is a heartbreaking masterpiece that not enough people talk about. After a brilliant scientist dies, his father preserves his brain in a giant robot body. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of going the typical monster route, the movie explores what it means to be human. There's this incredible scene where the robot plays piano, trying to connect with its past life, and it's genuinely moving. The robot design is amazing, towering, and intimidating, but with these subtle details that hint at the humanity trapped inside. The black and white cinematography creates this perfect film noir atmosphere that makes the whole story feel more tragic. If you've ever wondered what happens when crystals turn deadly,
Bringing them right down here.
And once they break through to the other side of the mountains, there'll be no stop.
the monolith monsters from 1957 has your answer. These mysterious space rocks seem harmless until they come in contact with water. Then, they grow into towering crystalline structures that threaten to take over an entire town. The sound design is absolutely brilliant. Every crack and crunch as the crystal grow sends shivers down your spine. The effects team created these incredible scenes using real crystals and clever camera angles. What makes this movie special is how it turns something beautiful into something terrifying. The scenes of the growing monoliths against the desert backdrop are visually stunning, even by today's standards.
The people who live here go in hourly terror.
But he knows. I'm sure he knows.
Yes, talk.
Here's a wild one. The Gamma People from 1956. Imagine stumbling into a remote European village where a mad scientist is using gamma rays to create super intelligent youth. The movie perfectly captures that Cold War paranoia while adding its own unique twist. The atmospheric shots of narrow cobblestone streets and towering castle walls create this incredible sense of isolation. What really stands out is how the movie balances its serious themes with moments of dark humor. The scenes of the village children displaying their enhanced intelligence are both fascinating and unsettling. It's like Village of the Damned meets The Sound of Music, but with a scientific twist.
Love that conquers terror. A strangely, intensely exciting romance in a world.
And speaking of mind-bending science, Gog from 1954 is pure retro-futuristic perfection. Set in a top-secret underground facility, this movie follows what happens when two advanced robots, named Gog and Magog, start malfunctioning. The clinical white corridors and constant hum of computers create this amazing atmosphere of technological tension. What makes this film special is its attention to scientific detail. They actually consulted with real scientists to make the computer technology seem plausible. The robots themselves are beautifully designed with a menacing simplicity that still holds up today. Plus, it was filmed in color, which was pretty rare for lower-budget science fiction of that era. Here's a fun debate starter. Which of these movies do you think had the most influential impact on modern sci-fi? Share your thoughts below and tell us what current movies or shows you think were inspired by these classics.
Radioactive information?
It strikes without warning, relentlessly to the brink of murder and madness.
The Crawling Eye from 1958 is a masterpiece of atmospheric horror and science fiction. When mysterious clouds descend on a remote mountain village, strange things start happening. Climbers disappear, trains vanish into the mist, and an overwhelming sense of dread fills the air. The genius of this movie lies in how it builds tension using that thick, mysterious fog. The cinematography creates this claustrophobic feeling, with the fog pressing in from all sides. When we finally meet the monsters, these massive tentacled creatures with giant eyes, it's genuinely terrifying. The effects team used a combination of practical effects, puppetry, and forced perspective to bring these creatures to life. The sound design deserves special mention too. The eerie whistling wind, the strange telepathic humming of the creatures, and the echoing screams in the mountain passages create this incredible atmosphere of isolation and fear.
Entering minefield. Stand by, number 38, mine. Fire.
It Came from Beneath the Sea, from 1955, showcases Ray Harryhausen's incredible stop-motion animation skills at their finest. A giant octopus emerges from the depths of the Pacific Ocean and begins terrorizing San Francisco. Here's a fascinating bit of movie magic. Due to budget constraints, they could only animate 6 tentacles instead of 8. But Harryhausen was so skilled at the animation that most viewers never even notice. The way he brought this creature to life is absolutely mesmerizing. Every movement of the tentacles, every ripple of the skin, every interaction with the water was painstakingly animated frame by frame. The scenes where it attacks the Golden Gate Bridge are particularly spectacular. You can see the metal bending and twisting under the creature's immense strength. The underwater sequences create this amazing sense of scale and depth. "4D Man" from 1959 explores the fascinating concept of passing through solid matter. but it goes way beyond just showing off cool special effects. The story follows a scientist who discovers how to alter his molecular structure, allowing him to walk through walls. But with this power comes a terrible price. It accelerates his aging process and drives him toward madness. The visual effects were groundbreaking for their time, using complex color separation techniques and multiple exposures to create the illusion of someone passing through solid objects. The psychological aspects of the story are just as compelling as the special effects. We watch as the main character struggles with the temptation of his power, leading to some genuinely unsettling scenes. The vibrant color cinematography makes these effects even more impressive.
Dwell the fire maidens of outer space. Dead. But there.
Fire Maidens from Outer Space from 1956 is one of those films that perfectly captures the unique charm of 1950s science fiction. The story follows a group of astronauts who travel to Jupiter's 13th moon and discover a lost civilization of beautiful women descended from ancient Atlantis. What makes this film fascinating is its ambitious attempt to blend ancient mythology with space exploration. The set designers created this amazing retro-futuristic version of Atlantean architecture using minimal resources but maximum creativity. The costume design is particularly noteworthy, mixing classical Greek elements with 1950s futuristic fashion. The scenes of the ancient rituals performed in their space colony create this unique atmosphere that's both ancient and futuristic. While the effects might be simple by today's standards, they managed to create a memorable alien world through creative use of lighting and camera angles. Let's play a game. Tell me in the comments which 3 of these movies you'd program for the perfect retro sci-fi movie night. Bonus points if you include what snacks you'd serve to match the atomic age vibe.
But now that we have a satellite station in space, revolving around the Earth, a satellite view,
Project Moonbase from 1953 is one of the most realistic depictions of space travel from the 1950s. The movie takes place in 1970, where space travel has become routine and a mission to establish a moonbase goes horribly wrong. What makes this movie special is its attention to scientific accuracy. They consulted with real rocket scientists to get the details right. The scenes of astronauts floating in zero gravity are incredibly well done for the time period. They achieved this effect using a combination of wire work and clever camera angles. The movie also features a female colonel as one of its main characters, which was revolutionary for 1953. The sets are amazing, with detailed control panels and space equipment that look believable even today. The orbital station designs influenced science fiction for decades to come.
6. Gravity 7.
Riders to the Stars from 1954 brings us another scientifically accurate space adventure. The story follows a group of scientists and test pilots on a mission to capture meteors in space before they burn up in Earth's atmosphere. The movie spends considerable time showing the rigorous training these astronaut candidates go through, making it feel more like a documentary than typical science fiction. The effects team created incredibly realistic space scenes using detailed miniatures and innovative camera techniques. What sets this film apart is its focus on the human element. We really get to know these characters and understand the psychological pressure they're under. The launch sequences are particularly impressive, with the camera work and sound design creating genuine tension and excitement about space exploration. The Invisible Invaders from 1959 takes an unusual approach to the alien invasion genre. Instead of flying saucers and ray guns, invisible aliens possess the bodies of the recently deceased to infiltrate Earth. The story follows a scientist trying to find a way to stop these unseen enemies while questioning who he can trust. The movie creates tension through what you don't see rather than expensive special effects. The scenes of The Walking Dead are genuinely creepy, achieved through simple but effective makeup and deliberate movements by the actors. What makes this film fascinating is how it combines elements of zombie movies with science fiction, years before zombies became popular in cinema. The invisible nature of the threat adds an extra layer of paranoia to every scene.
Get back!
Devil Girl from Mars from 1954 might sound like a typical B-movie, but it's surprisingly thought-provoking. A leather-clad female alien arrives at a remote Scottish inn, announcing she's looking for Earthmen to help repopulate her dying planet. The movie features impressive costume design. The alien's outfit became iconic in science fiction fashion. The spaceship design is unique too, using a minimalist style that still looks futuristic today. What makes this film special is its strong female antagonist, which was rare for the era. The remote setting creates a claustrophobic atmosphere as the inhabitants of the inn try to outsmart their powerful visitor. The movie tackles themes of gender roles and power dynamics in a way that was ahead of its time. I'm really curious, which of these alien designs do you find the most creative? The invisible invaders? The brain from planet Arous? Or maybe those crystal monsters? Share your pick in the comments and tell us why it stands out.
Fantastic, but based on scientific fact.
For radioactivity.
The Creature with the Atom Brain from 1955 combines classic horror elements with atomic age science fiction. A vengeful gangster teams up with an ex-Nazi scientist who uses atomic radiation to reanimate dead bodies and control them through radio signals. The movie was ahead of its time in showing the concept of remote-controlled zombies, something we see in modern films all the time. The makeup effects for the atomic zombies are surprisingly effective, with their glowing eyes achieved through a clever use of reflective paint and lighting. The scenes where these seemingly unstoppable creatures walk through walls and bullets really build tension. What makes this film special is how it blends crime drama with science fiction horror. The police investigation aspects give it a unique noir feeling that sets it apart from typical monster movies of the era. The Brain from Planet Arous from 1957 brings us one of the most unique alien invasion stories. Instead of spaceships and laser beams, we get a floating alien brain that possesses people. The creature takes over the body of a scientist and plans to trigger nuclear war. What makes this movie fascinating is how it handles the possession scenes. The actor John Ager does an incredible job switching between his normal character and the evil alien personality. The special effects team created the floating brain using a combination of practical effects and creative lighting. They even managed to make it look genuinely threatening despite its unusual appearance. The desert setting adds to the isolated atmosphere, and the story builds tension through the hero's wife gradually realizing something is wrong with her husband.
This was
World Without End from 1956 deserves much more recognition than it gets. The film follows 4 astronauts who accidentally travel through time to a post-apocalyptic Earth in the year 2508. The movie was filmed in gorgeous color and CinemaScope, giving it a visual quality that stands out from other science fiction films of the period. The future world design is fantastic. They created these amazing underground cities and included mutant creatures that still look creepy today. What makes this film special is its attention to social commentary. The future society is divided between surface-dwelling mutants and underground civilization, creating interesting parallels with class division. The costume design for the future civilization is particularly impressive, mixing futuristic elements with classical styles in a way that influenced later science fiction.
We have been expecting you. You will come with us now.
Flight to Mars from 1951 might be low budget, but it makes up for it with imagination and charm. The story follows the first expedition to Mars, where the crew discovers an advanced civilization living underground. The Martian city sets are incredible, especially considering the budget constraints. They created this beautiful Art Deco style world using clever painting techniques and creative lighting. The Martian costumes have this unique retro-futuristic design that's become iconic. What makes this film special is how it balances adventure with serious discussions about trust and survival. The relationship between the Earth explorers and the Martians grows increasingly tense as they discover the Martians' true intentions. The scenes of the spacecraft journey are surprisingly detailed, showing real thought about how space travel might work. Here's an interesting thought experiment. If you were a B-movie director in the 1950s with a tiny budget, what kind of sci-fi story would you tell? Share your movie pitch in the comments. I'd love to hear your creative ideas.
I am here in the darkness. I demand you state your business here.
The Cosmic Man from 1959 takes a different approach to the alien visitor story. Instead of invasion, we get a mysterious sphere that lands on Earth containing an invisible alien who wants to help humanity. The movie stands out because it treats its science fiction elements with real intelligence and thoughtfulness. The invisible alien is created through clever practical effects and lighting tricks that still look effective today. What makes this film special is its message of peace and understanding, which was pretty rare during the height of Cold War paranoia. The scenes where the alien reveals advanced scientific knowledge are particularly well done, with discussions that feel genuine rather than made-up movie science. The character interactions feel natural, and the growing tension between military leaders and scientists creates real drama.
You guess how big the creature itself must be?
Yeah. But we won't have to guess at it, Dan.
Monster from Green. Hell from 1957 gives us a unique twist on the giant monster genre. Instead of radiation creating massive creatures, this movie features wasps that have been mutated by exposure to cosmic rays during rocket experiments. The scenes of the giant wasps attacking their victims are created using a combination of practical effects and clever forced perspective shots. The African setting makes this movie stand out from other monster films of the era, though it was actually filmed in California. What makes this film fascinating is how it combines the monster movie formula with elements of an African adventure story. The expedition through the jungle builds tension perfectly, and the sound design for the wasps creates genuine menace. The scenes of the natives fighting against the creatures show some impressive practical effects work. Which scientist character from these films would you want on your team during an alien invasion? Let me know in the comments and explain your survival strategy.
Tarantula entices men to a strange fate, unleashed by insanity.
Mesa of Lost Women from 1953 gives us one of the most unique mad scientist stories of the decade. A brilliant but unhinged scientist creates super intelligent giant spiders and tries to evolve women into a superior species through spider DNA experiments. The movie features some surprisingly effective spider effects, achieved through careful lighting and camera work. What makes this film fascinating is its bizarre blend of horror, science fiction, and film noir elements. The desert setting creates an isolated atmosphere, perfect for the strange events that unfold. The musical score is particularly memorable, using flamenco guitar in unusual ways to create tension. The transformation scenes are handled well despite the low budget, and the Spider Women's movements were choreographed to be subtly unsettling. The film creates a unique atmosphere that stays with you long after watching. And there you have it, fellow sci-fi enthusiasts. 20 amazing films that prove the 1950s were packed with incredible imagination. These movies might not have had huge budgets or fancy effects, but they had something even better: pure creativity and heart. They showed us that great storytelling doesn't need $1 million in CGI, just passionate filmmakers willing to think outside the box. If you enjoyed this journey through the golden age of sci-fi, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more retro movie deep dives. Ring that notification bell too. You won't want to miss our upcoming videos about forgotten horror classics and pulp adventures.